A pretty dynamic afternoon with just a little less than an hour to go with our show, less than 2 hours to go on this Trump imposed deadline with Iran. Negotiations are red hot. There's reporting all over the news cycle right now that a deal is imminent of some sort. It may be an extension, it may be some give and take, it may not be a complete surrender or a complete peace deal. But all of that seems to be good news considering how especially Fox loves playing up the drama of the deadline. So they've been on it all day today. And of course, Trump did some tough talk this morning that kept everybody in a twit. So we will continue to follow the minute to minute on this as we roll through the afternoon. Still taking your phone calls. We've had some tremendous calls today, some great comments, and some really, really stupid calls as well. But that's the nature of the beast. We are a wide open format. Y'all bring it. 5-4. I love the stupid calls. It's fun. 545-9950 is the phone number. Hueytown Pawn next up on the show. Man, from time to time, they just, Tommy's got a cool business model. Okay, so it started as a pawn shop. Slowly, he starts doing more and more in the gun trade. Then they started bringing in new lines, and in addition to things people would bring in to the pawn shop. And they became more and more experts and drew more and more customers. And then Tommy gets plugged into these deals out in the market. For example, these law enforcement Glocks that from time to time he'll get a whole batch of them and bring them to the market, previously owned by LEs. But some of these weapons have never been fired. Some in the original boxes that he just buys them in a batch and puts them on sale. So he's still got a couple of those left, Glocks. And at one point he had all three calibers that people like, 940 and 45 in those handguns. $399. You're just not going to beat that anywhere. And some people still like the older Glock models over the new generation Glock. That's always going to be a subject of debate. And then, of course, the AR-12s, those AR-style 12-gauge shotguns, man, they're just cool. They look cool. I bet they're fun to shoot. Desert, sort of that bronze color, in stock right now, $279. You'll always see a great selection of sound suppression. That's still a huge deal in the industry, and Tommy keeps those in their vault. They probably have one in your price range and for your platform right now over on Brook Lane Drive. Hueytown Pawn, y'all go see them this week. Make them your gun store. I'm telling you, before you commit anywhere else, at least shop side by side with Hueytown Pawn and see the difference. You may decide Tommy's your gun guy. Tommy and Adam, all of them. I don't mean to leave Adam out. Hueytown Pawn, Hueytown Pawn. All right, back to the developments in the war. There's some reporting. You got these flight tracker people that constantly track military flights and other flights. Some of that's legitimately, you're not going to be able to track real secretive military flights. That's ridiculous. But they're noticing some of our long-range bombers that had taken off today to be in the sky heading toward Iran while these deals are being hacked out. Some of those planes are turning around, and that seems to validate that there's been a breakthrough brokered possibly by India and Pakistan, believe it or not, other countries involved in the back channel negotiations. So there's still been some bombing that we're doing on infrastructure in the country of Iran. We've hit another missile depot that was underground, and they said it felt like an earthquake when those bunker busters got into there and hit that silo. Let me see what else we have here. I mean, it's changing by the minute. Not changing, but developing. That's a better way to put it, because the stories are starting to compound that some kind of deal is reached. We don't know to the extent. Is it a complete deal? Is it a final deal? Is it a peace deal? Is it just a ceasefire with some period of extension for us to move even further? I don't know. That would be more reasonable than especially the heat of the day, everything suddenly getting all worked out. But there's room for a lot of optimism this evening as we head toward that deadline. Trump's a tough negotiator, and he doesn't hold back. And the other side knows we mean business nowadays. And I mean, they ain't dealing with Obama is what I'm saying. They're not getting a plane load of cash out of this, but they might get to live another day. That's a pretty good deal for them. All right, I'm going to hit the phones. And in between the phone calls, I'll keep scrolling the news cycle and see if we get any other development. CNN was one of the first news organizations to report a Pakistani source that this deal was close. Some kind of deal was about to be announced. So it's CNN. What are you going to do? But if it comes, of course, before we get off the air at 6, we will let you know about it. Terry is on line 2. Let's go back to the phones. Terry, what's going on, man?
Hey, Leland, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Terry, good to hear from you.
Not to detract from the war and all, one reason I listen to you, I appreciate the updates and giving us what's really going on. But I want to brag on one of your advertisers because
Okay.
they're the ones keeping you on the air.
Good deal, man.
I had to refinance. Yeah, I had to refinance my house for personal reasons. And of course, I've used Stockton Mortgage.
Yeah.
They made it very simple. Did most of the stuff online. Halfway through, I changed my mind what I wanted to do. And they said, no big deal. They'll take care of it. And did. And when I got to signing, it was just very simple. 30 minutes and I was done. And it all came final today, and it turned out just like they said. I just wanted to brag on them.
Well, man, that is outstanding. We'll be talking to Thomas. I'll let him know you called in. I'm glad that worked out for you. They're really good. They work hard over there.
Yeah. Next stop is Axiom Tax Relief. I'm getting them a try to.
Get on with Perry, man. We're running out of days before the tax filing, and I know they're busy, but they'll get you in line for sure, man.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. All right, Terry's still there. Terry had a weak call anyway. He had a tough cell condition. That happens sometimes. All right, Randy's over here in Jasper. What you got, Randy? What's on your mind tonight?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Randy, what you got, buddy?
Well, I just found out through a friend of mine works at Walmart. They told me do not buy no kind of meat at Walmart because it ain't real meat. It's all grown in lab. It doesn't matter if it's pork, chicken, or beef. It's grown in a lab now.
Well, I don't know if all of it is, but I know some of that is out there.
He told me all of it was.
Well, I don't know who he is, and I can't validate that. You trying to get me sued, Randy? I will tell you this, though. I've seen more videos you called in about packages being labeled as weighing one thing, but actually weighing something else. I saw a video of a guy doing that just yesterday, I think it was, where he'd have a 5 pound sack of potatoes. And
if it's grown in a lab, how they can sell that as real meat?
Well, I'm not sure that it is. I can't take your word for it. I mean, I don't doubt. I think we'd all know the difference. That lab meat tastes like lab meat. I've tried some of that stuff before. It's nasty. But I don't buy my meat at Walmart, so I wouldn't know. Thank you, Randy.
I used to,
Randy.
but I ain't doing it no more.
All right, Randy. I was trying to give you some street cred, though. The potato guy on the YouTube would take a 5 pound bag and go put it on the scales, and it was 3.5 pounds. It's like they used to call that shrinkflation, where they wouldn't lie about it, but some of the producers, instead of just increasing the price, they'd slowly decrease the size of the bottle or the box, and they'd put the accurate amount on the outside. But there have been scams like that from the dawn of time. Hey Jay, you ever get a bag of potato chips that's full of air and you open them up and it's like there ain't any potato chips in there?
All the time, yeah.
They lie
no
to
matter
us.
how
Where
big the
damn
bag
potato
is.
chips? Yeah. They just fill the bag full of air. They say, well, that's to protect the potato chips. But there's not any potato chips. Man, speaking of which, I gave a slight mention of this earlier. And let's do some happy talk for a minute while we're waiting on any kind of details on this war resolution. Man, that Coca-Cola commercial that they put out, I grew up when you remember the hippie commercial of all the people standing around talking about they'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony and hold hands and drink Coke and la la la, peace, love, dope, all that. It was a great commercial, stuck in our heads. We could all sing the song back in the day. Well, Coke, on the 250th anniversary of the countries, decided to go straight patriotic. And they did this beautiful ad, and it caught my attention. I don't even know what I was watching. I don't watch a whole lot of TV nowadays, but it popped up, and I stopped and started watching it. And the images, it's really, the song is good. They sort of put some soul in it, had this guy sing it, use some of the old lyrics from the original song, but it's the similar vibe, but very modernized. So, and you see the guy singing like in the studio with his choir where he's doing the song about America and us all getting together and being one. And it is so unifying. And you got, the way we've been forcing representation of identities nowadays, none of that It's like if it's everybody in there feels like they're real people, black, white, everybody's represented in this ad in a very balanced and natural way. The song is good. It's so upbeat. And I felt like I was in a time machine because I grew up in an era where it was okay to be proud of your country. It was okay, it was default to be patriotic. To be otherwise made you some kind of commie lemon sucker, and we didn't like you. I mean, I grew up, we had jacked up 4-wheel drives with bumper stickers that said Russia sucks. Do y'all remember those? I mean, we knew who we were back then, and there's been this absolute concerted attempt to rewrite our history and our image, and it's being done on a number of fronts. And one of those was corporate America enforcing this stuff, just forcing it down people's throats until we puked and told them to screw off, and some of their stocks started dropping. And now we're here at the 250th anniversary of the country. We get the World Cup coming here. We're putting people out in space and whooping ass and creating peace after the whoop ass all over the world. We're back, dude. And Coke decided to embrace that and do this beautiful ad that I think we can all get together on, even if despite political differences. That's a good ad. That's a feel good spot. Companies used to do that. Best way in the world to sell products was to make people feel good, not lecture them and do all this other stupid stuff. But anyway, I saw it and I thought, did I just see that? Is something? Am I crazy? Am I smoking dope right now? What's going on? Did Coke really do a traditional, upbeat, positive spot, and it's not even the Super Bowl? Yeah, they did, and good for them. We can get on these companies for doing weird stuff. And there wasn't one tranny in there making us have to look at that. It's anyway. If you see it, good for them. I don't drink a lot of soft drinks nowadays. Made me want to go get a Coke. One of those little 6 ounces in the bottle, like back in the day. Put some peanuts in there. You know what I mean? Alabama Gold Refinery. Let's talk. Gold was kind of even today, but it's making a comeback. It's up off the bottom. I don't say the bottom. It fell a little bit especially after the war situation started with Iran. You had a lot of institutional movement, and we know how high it can go. I'm not a financial advisor, but I will tell you, you may need to pay attention to that. It could be if you're planning on adding to your collection, because a lot of gold folks, man, it's buy and hold. It's a security device. If you're thinking about it, it's a good time to get in right now. The prices have come down, a little more affordable to grab an ounce of gold. Start adding to your collection because we all know it goes up. Gold holds its own. It always has throughout. I mean, you can trace that back to the Bible. There's a lot of human record of the value of gold, and it's measurable. Steve is so adept at talking about this stuff. If you need a good place to do these kind of exchanges, of course, it's Alabama Gold Refinery, AGR, over in Homewood, man. Steve's just such a good guy with a complete shop. The security stuff you would need in place to be able to take your things in and take your things out and feel safe about it. Homewood's a nice, safe place to be. Central location and the whole listening area, and a wealth of knowledge with Steve and that whole team there. And again, they buy, they sell, they trade, they'll do all of it. Whatever you're in the market to do. Gold, silver, platinum, all the precious metals. It's a cool shop. Good exchange right across from the Regions Bank on 29th in Homewood. AlabamaGoldRefinery.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, it's 523. Leland Live, Talk 99.5, EcoView Windows and Doors. Next up here on the show, I really think the world of what Becky Jackson and her husband have done with this business. They came in and said, we want to create the best window and door company around. And instead of just starting from scratch, they bought an existing brand, went in there and just shook it up. They fired everybody, wound up with the best product line in the world. They just lined up the best products and then hired the best installers and started backing all of that with incredible warranties. This 35% guarantee alone, it ought to raise an eyebrow. If you got old single pane leaky windows, you're spending a lot of money that's just going, you're like the Birmingham Waterworks. You're spending money on something you're not getting. And they can help you with that and make your home more efficient. There might even be some tax adjustments or credits or rebates or something involved with that. Check with your tax person. Check with Becky and they'll talk to you about that. But just the utility bill savings alone, especially in the peak parts of the year, man, utility prices have gone crazy. And now power companies bought off the legislature. They're going to go up more. Let me write it down. They're going to go up more. This is an investment in the future, so you're not overpaying. EcoView Windows and Doors, y'all let them come fix you up. They are so good about their job to get in and get out and get done, and it'll be beautiful when they're done. You can actually open and close your windows, and you'll be more comfortable trying to sleep at night in the hot, muggy southern summers. EcoViewWindows.com, EcoViewWindows.com. All I can pick up on with this alleged deal that could be announced any minute or tonight at some point is that there's one Pakistani source saying that what they have given to the mediators, and that's now been presented back to Trump, is something that the U.S. had previously proposed. In other words, the structure of it was something that we had proposed, the Iranians rejected, and then we kept bombing, and now the Iranians are back agreeing to something that we'd already agreed to. The optimism there is that because in the past the United States was already on board with this settlement structure, that might give it a good chance that we're going to accept it, they're going to accept it, and whatever. Who knows? I mean, who knows? All this is probably as reliable as the other bad information we have gotten so far for almost 37 days now. We'll continue to monitor it tonight as we head toward 6 o'clock. My man Greg over here is on line one. We'll go back to the phones too. Let's get some more phone calls before we get going. Greg, what you know, man?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you today?
How you doing? Well.
Good. The Coca-Cola ad. Don't fall for it, brother. This is
all right. Tell me what you got.
Check their bottom line. Check
Yep.
the bottom line. And this is a known situation that people's tastes are changing, and their consumption of whatever is changing. Fast food, soft drinks, they
Sure.
are losing money. And I mean, when you see a huge conglomerate like Coca-Cola, what do you mean they're losing money? Well, they're making money, but this is the market that this is where it starts and ends. Same thing with Budweiser. You know, they brought us Dylan Mulvaney a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And then their Super Bowl ad this year was America. I mean, it was as
that's what I'm
American as
saying.
it
They're
gets.
having to pivot back to their own customer base, and that means that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If Coke's doing that and Budweiser's doing that, good for them.
Alienated us for far too long. Yeah,
They did.
And just the last thing. Hopefully, this deal, if this is something that was already proposed and on the table, I'd be more than happy to not destroy an entire civilization. And the hyperbole that is lost on a lot of people with Trump, I didn't think anything of that when reading that this morning and hearing it, that he was going to, end the civilization. That's not literal.
That's where the left always gets him wrong. They take his words literally because they want to, and they don't. The man speaks in hyperbole all the time, and in sarcasm. Most of his communication is it's tongue in cheek sarcasm and cynical and satire, but they take it literally and then set themselves on fire.
And that's, I'm happy when they do that because of the breathlessness with which they expose themselves for missing the point. I think that's fantastic and totally unbelievable. But listen, I think the guy says what he does, what he says, and says what he does. Okay, I can live with that.
Well,
Hey, be
and
careful. There's a pretty significant wreck right before Tallapoosa Street, going, I guess, east and north on 2059.
okay,
Looks like
right there by
about
the airport.
seven or eight
Okay.
cars lined up.
Greg,
So
that's the way to
everybody be
stack a
careful.
lot of that's the way to stack a lot of stuff in a phone call. You covered Coke, you
Get it
covered the
on,
peace
get it on,
deal,
get it out. Have a good evening.
and he gave us a traffic update. Maybe outside of Barry, who preached earlier in the show, might be one of the better calls of the day. That is how you bring something to the table. Yeah, I mean, look, the left, these people raised hell about a ballroom. They booed our national hockey team for winning, and they were firebombing Teslas just a few months ago. They're nuts. They'll get worked up over trivial stuff, much less war. Now, what we're understanding about this peace deal, it may involve a 2-week ceasefire that both sides have accepted, and Trump got something for that ceasefire. If that's an opening of the strait, then those are two things that are in. I mean, you give that 2 weeks, no bombing, and the strait's back open, we're done. I mean, that's the end of it. Other stuff gets worked out in the meantime. We'll see. We'll see how this gets verified. We've still got 30 minutes to go tonight. 545-9950. If y'all want to get in on the show, bring it. Leland Live. All right, y'all. Stockton Mortgage. I'm going to do the ad for him tonight. Thomas is tied up, probably helping somebody's dream come through, getting somebody to another deadline. We had a caller earlier in the show that did the Stockton spot for me, just really raving about them able. He said he was forced to because of some kind of life circumstance to do a refi. That does happen. Man, when you're in a box and you just got to do it, listen. Go to Stockton and let them start game planning with you. There may be some incredible options that you wouldn't have considered, especially if you're just trying to Google around. And, I would do that in the past. I'd get on and go, well, what's a good interest rate right now? And depends on your situation and what your project is and who you are and your credit score and all these other things. You may qualify for stuff you wouldn't have found. Stockton will help you drill down and get to the bottom of that. They've got a website that they set up just for this radio show. It's called savewithstockton.com. And you can reach out to them and let them get to work for you. Even if you just want to talk about it right now, you're not ready to start filling out forms and applying and pulling your credit. Don't do a hard pull until you've had that conversation, and they'll baby you through that process. They'll hold your hand and take the intimidation out of it. It is savewithstockton.com. Okay. Let me just try to reset. Circumstances are vague. The news cycle's going crazy right now. There's talk of a deal of sorts between the United States and Iran. If nothing, a 2-week ceasefire seems to be front and center on this thing. There probably will be some conditions of the ceasefire that we don't know yet. That's good news. If that also means the Strait opens, I can't imagine Trump would agree to 2 weeks of no bombing and the world still being held hostage economically by the Strait being closed. So maybe it's relief on both sides of that equation. We don't know. I do know that some of the, after hours trading on the energy markets have oiled down just in the last few minutes as this story starts to get out there. Oil's down 5%, which puts it down back close to $100. Don't know where that lands tomorrow. I think it's going to come down so rapidly if there is actual peace negotiated or something a little more permanent than that. That takes some of the uncertainty out of it, which helps all the way across the board. This has been sort of an artificially generated crisis, as you all know, based on just reaction. Trump alluded to it yesterday when he talked about, well, actually today, I think it was today where I heard the soundbite where Trump is saying that Iran doesn't even have to put mines in the Strait or actually do anything. The threat alone, and we've talked about this over the last 37 days. And by the way, I know this seems like 6 months. This has only been 37 days. I said it earlier in the show. People from World War I and World War II and some of the major wars this country's gotten involved in, those generations, the people that fought and the people that were back home having to deal with the war going on would absolutely be snot bubble laughing at us for the way we reacted to a 37-day conflict where the other side's not even capable of shooting back right now. And the only sacrifice America's had to make at this point is higher gas prices. Can y'all tell me another sacrifice? Maybe your stock market's down, but it's going back up. I mean, the prices of gas are going to come back down. I hope they do before summer because I'm planning on buying a lot of diesel fuel this summer. But it's an inconvenience at most. It's a hit to your budget at most. That's not the sacrifice our forefathers had to go through in any of the previous wars in this country. Starting with the revolution 250 years ago. Those people had some sacrifice. They had the prospect of their own hanging. They were fighting a superpower with muskets and no navy. Had hostile Indians on the other side of the mountains and the British coming at them the other way. They had to count on the French. What? Y'all, I mean, the world's a different place right now. Here we are all hand-wringing because we've been on social media too long today and we're paying an extra $1 for a gallon of gas. Shut up. All this is going to get better. Y'all quit being a bunch of babies. The world is going to be such a better and freer place. Energy is going to be so much more competitive and available when you get this toilet unclogged. That is exactly what's happened over there. And things are looking up for the moment. All this could go to hell in the next 15 minutes, though. I'm quite aware of that. That we're living on Trump time right now. but I'm continuously scrolling and trying to get the latest across from whatever has. Let me see what they're saying here. New York Times is saying against the backdrop. Oh man, my computer scrolled on me. Don't you hate when that happens? You're reading something, it takes off and goes somewhere else. New York Times quote saying against the backdrop of the deadline, crowds of people left Tehran today, headed north. Described one of the largest waves of departures. Yeah, of course they thought the city was going to get bombed. Let me see what else has got. Odds on a nuclear deal. There are these odds markets. I find this fascinating. And by the way, y'all, I have tracked the accuracy of the markets, and some even call them prediction markets. They don't predict anything. They're taking people's money. They're just taking people's money. This country has a gambling addiction. I was reading something about it the other day with young men particularly are getting sucked into losing their minds and any assets they have at very early ages from gambling addiction. So now we'll bet on anything. So they're betting on politics nowadays, but just for giggles, this one prediction market has that the odds of an Iran nuclear deal just went way up in the last few minutes. Those are the betting markets that think. And look, everybody's trading on the same currency, which is this. As far as I know, one sourced CNN report that just came out, and that's it. That we're close to, if not an outright deal, a ceasefire to get a deal, which would still be a breakthrough tonight, considering apocalyptic threats from earlier today. The Crown Prince of Iran still out tonight calling for the people to rise up and overthrow the regime. The difference there, let me give you some just ground truth. I was digging into this a little bit today and everything else that's happened today, is you got to get small arms on the ground to the people in Tehran in particular, if that's going to happen. While we have taken out missiles and nukes and navies and all this other stuff, patrol boats and swept mines and all the bombing of the plants, the munition plants, the missile storage, all of that infrastructure. When it comes down to the basics, one of the things that'll still keep the people oppressed are just the police forces that still have their small arms weapons. This is an unarmed country. And people that are unarmed are easily oppressed by their governments. Write that down. That's why we have the Second Amendment. The founders of this country 250 years ago didn't care about hunting. That wasn't the deal. It was this stuff. Is when the government can become so powerful you have no self-defense whatsoever to protect yourself. You needed the ability to protect yourself. And these people are utterly defenseless. And so even a bunch of thug police still loyal to the IRGC can hold up a whole apartment building if they want to. And so until there's possibility of them fighting it out or a surrender by the people in charge, you're not going to see these people storming out into the streets against gunfire, which is what they're being threatened with. This report says the U.S. and Iran both have not fully responded to the Pakistani proposal. The thing that concerns me right now is this is Pakistan in the lead. They are not to be trusted. And, you know, they would be a natural third party to try to work this out. Now there's this 57 seconds ago, this report, for what it's worth, Trump says he has agreed and will suspend bombing of Iran for 2 weeks, calling a double-sided ceasefire conditioned on, well, again, the scroll. AJ, there's so much news coming across. I'll be clicking on something, and if I don't put a hold on it, it's gone. It'll take off like a slot machine. Senior Iranian official says Iran is inclined to agree to the 2-week ceasefire. It looks like we got a ceasefire. At the same time, Trump is meeting with his war cabinet right now. I bet they have a news conference tonight and put Trump out there. They're saying
it says right here on this. I'm seeing on the TV that Trump has agreed to suspend bombing for 2 weeks.
Yep, that's what's on the Fox screen right now. I was just reading that when my computer scrolled because it had a condition in there, and I wonder what that is. He called it double-sided, which means they're going to quit shooting stuff, we're going to quit shooting stuff, and I bet that means the strait has to be open. I cannot imagine we're going to agree to anything if the strait is still kinked up. Lebanon is reporting that Iran's pushing for Lebanon to be included. Iran keeps throwing Lebanon into the talks because, you know, they're right there to the north of Israel and a constant threat. It's where their proxy forces in Hezbollah are stationed, and they're trying to protect that. so they can maintain their threat against Israel. And we gotta try to decide to deal with that. That'll bring the Israelis into this peace deal. I don't even know if there's any commentary from them. All right, kind of a to use an overused metaphor, it's a fluid situation tonight as we watch the news come across right here at the end of the show. Optimism that at least 2 weeks of no shooting and maybe more negotiations could mean an end to this thing right on schedule. They said 4 to 6 weeks. We're in the 5th week. Blake Lee's Bouquets bringing you the show tonight. BLAKELEES, Blake Lee's Bouquets, for any kind of flower giving. You know, we got predictable occasions. We just did Easter, and you got Mother's Day coming up, and graduation coming up, and some other holidays that come, birthdays through the year. But just because, man, just because flowers. Fellas, listen up to me for a minute. Women, y'all don't have to listen. I'm going to try to give your knucklehead in your life some advice. She puts up with you all the time. Just send her some flowers. Right when she has no idea you pissed her off that morning, still send her flowers. Just do it. Best flowers you ever bought. Have your message ready because it's a quick process once you get online and see the pretty pictures. I like just clicking on pictures. Show me the price. Boom, done. Here's my message. Put your payment in there and they're sent. If you do it in the morning, she'll get them by noon or close to midday, right around central Birmingham. They got a great delivery service, and I love that they'll also, Blakely's will send you a little text message to confirm that the flowers made it. That's a fun text to get, because then you can wait on the brownie points. Wait on that response text that she got them. Or maybe she doesn't text you for a couple hours and leave you hanging. That's terrible. Don't do that, ladies. BlakeLeesBouquets.com. Over in Homewood, if you want to drop by and see them, they'd love to see you. But otherwise, go to the website. It's 2 names, Blake and Lee. Put those together. BlakeLeesBouquets.com. Back in a minute. All right, here we go. Let's get this going. And man, we'll be done for the day. Big news as we roll into the hour. Let me just jump into it. Here is a post from Trump. He started the day with a bombastic post. This is how we end the day right before we go off the air. I'm going to read it to you cold. It just came out. Based on conversations with Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir. Is that man's name Munir, AJ? Is his name Munir? Munir. Wouldn't you call that manure? Anyway, they're both of Pakistan.
Yes.
And Munir. And wherein they requested that I hold off on destructive force being sent tonight into Iran and subject the Islamic Republic of Iran, agreeing to a complete and immediate safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we've already met and exceeded our military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We have received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. It's like a completely different person. Let me continue to read. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to and between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have long-term problem and a close resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump. My head's spinning right now. So while I get my thoughts around it, let me tell y'all about the Knowles Group. I would imagine tomorrow we're going to have another one of those days like we had when I was over at the Knowles Group doing the show live last week. It was a week ago today when we had like an 1,100-point market run up on optimism that things were eventually going to get better. And all of this is, again, it's been artificially suppressed. The price of oil artificially up just on the threat alone. Not an actual supply disruption, but a transportation disruption. Supplies floating around on ships all over the place. Can you imagine when all this oil that's just been sitting there gets dumped into the market? Here we go with the price of oil tomorrow. Watch that go down. Danny Knowles will help you. Outside of these things that happen from time to time, he was steady, Freddie, his whole team. I thought they'd be skipping around that office because of the run up in the markets. They don't get jazzed up on days like that day, and they don't lose their cool on down days because they've got long-term strategies, and that's why you hire a professional to help you with your investments. And that's my man, Danny, lifelong friend of mine. Boy, we've been friends for, I guess you'd count 40, let me do the math. We're 49 years I've known Danny Knowles since we were little kids. He's always been kind of the same Danny. I guess we all have certain traits where we still are who we are. I have no idea what he'd say about me, but what I'd say about him is he's a straight shooter. Danny just says it. He would open his mouth and just say it in class. There were 2 of us in that class that would do that, and we're still friends. The Knowles Group, Danny's sons are with him in the firm now. If you want somebody to take a fresh look at your assets and what you're doing, it's the KnowlesGroup.com. Y'all reach out to him, see if it's a good fit. I think if it's a good fit, and that's up to you, I'm making an introduction. This could be the right way to handle your retirement. Even if you're already retired and you just want a better return, talk to them, see what they can do for you. The KnowlesGroup.com. Well, this is pretty amazing news, and I appreciate the Trump administration letting us get this news an hour before the big doomsday deadline that was so artificially hyped. I got to say, Fox News was the worst about it today. They were just fanning the flames of end times tribulations at 8 o'clock tonight. Trump is a negotiator. He puts the hammer down. He demands things and gets stuff. He may be the best negotiator in my lifetime. Politics, business, tell me a better one. I don't know. Maybe you had to go back to the turn of the century and some of those big industrialists that got things done back then and moved the country forward. But in this case, you got this maniac regime to back off the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, which has been their only leverage. It's all they got left. And if they've backed off that, they're ready to agree to some peace. I hope this is good news for the people of that country. I really do. I hope the people on the ground can get out into the streets and are not going to be threatened. I hope the Trump administration has also asked for some cover. Well, at least ask the regime, whatever's left of it, whoever we're talking to, not to harm their own citizens. But this would open up world oil markets tomorrow. The minute those markets open at 8:30, it's going to be just pandemonium if this holds through the night. Again, you always have to give the caveat that this whole thing could blow up. I'm going to read it to you again. Some of y'all are driving down the road. You shouldn't be reading your phone. Don't be reading your phone. Drive your car. I'll read it to you. Ready? Here's what the president just said, and it's two parts. One, we got a ceasefire. Two, we've got a 10-point plan that our administration feels like we could agree to. That's reasonable enough to agree to. You know what that means? That's an end to the war unless something weird goes on the next 2 weeks. I will say this, too. I haven't heard a peep out of the Israelis, and they've been doing their own set of bombing. They're a separate country, believe it or not, and they've been had their own targets and their own goals. And I don't know if they're a party to this, too. If the Trump administration's told Netanyahu, okay, we're all going to stop or not. We'll see about that portion of it. But let me read this to you one more time, and then we'll get out of here tonight. I'm going to read it to you without commentary. Here we go. Based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, wherein they requested that I hold off on the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject the Islamic Republic of Iran, agreeing to the complete and immediate safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is we have achieved and met and exceeded all of our military objectives. And that's true. You could say, I said I wasn't going to interrupt, but I got to right now. You could say that the diplomatic stuff, the economic stuff, that's all to be worked out. But the military stuff, we're done. I mean, we've done everything that we set out to do, and we'll continue to do it now that the strait's open. We don't have to do it. Anyway, it says we received this was amazing, this part of it. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. He's speaking on behalf of their Muslim neighbors, too, it sounds like. How about that? Man, what a day. Mandu, last sponsor of the show. Get it right, get it tight with Mandu. This is electronic muscle stimulation. If you've not done it, you need to try it. If gyms aren't working for you, I know. At some age, they just don't work for you anymore. Plus, they're sweaty, nasty, smelly meat markets. Stay out of there. Go to Mandu. Try this. It's an efficient 15-minute workout that involves electronic muscle stimulation that you're going to think is the weirdest thing you've ever done until a couple of days after, when you feel how good you feel. Then you're going to want to sign up, if not right there on the spot. Let Paul and his team give you one for free, show you how it works. You can also visit them over in Tuscaloosa on University Drive at the Mandu location. And for those in North Alabama, they're in Huntsville too. Mandu.com, M-A-N-D-U-U, Mandu.com. We will see y'all tomorrow. Happy Peace Day.
All right, stay tuned for Breaking Bread coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.